I know you see the title of this video and you're probably thinking, this guy, he's probably another manga snob who thinks he's so much more superior because he reads. Firstly, shame on you. I'm a person that's learned to move past stereotyping based off mere assumptions. I think the world will be such a better place if we started taking things at face value and stop inserting our own biases into things. Just because you see a video with a title preferring manga over to anime, you think I'm some manga snob? I mean, I am, but it's still wrong for you to assume such. Growing up in the US of A, me, like most kids, are exposed to anime before they're exposed to manga. The Saturday morning cartoons, the WB for kids, whether that be the Yu-Gi-Ohs, the Pokemons, the Dragon Ball Zs, all things I watched when as a kid growing up. And as a kid, I realized these shows were different, but I didn't quite understand or realize why they were different. It wasn't until about 5th grade or middle school that I realized what anime was. And it's also around that time that I discovered manga. And man, was it a glorious discovery. Throughout my adolescent years, I would gravitate more towards manga than to watching anime. I think a couple of reasons for that was manga was just more accessible to me at the time, and you know, me as an adolescent, a teenager, it just seemed like there was so much more manga than there was anime. And even now, as an adult, I tend to read more manga than I do actually watching anime. And I have a couple of reasons for why that is. Pacing. And by that, I don't necessarily mean the pacing of a story's plot, which can definitely be affected by the format that it's in, whether that be anime or manga. I'm more speaking towards the fact that while you're reading a manga, you can read it at your own pace and still get through the story a lot more quicker than you would watching an anime. The typical anime is about, 22 minutes long, and an anime episode typically incorporates a couple of manga chapters in that 22-minute runtime. And I can read that much quicker than I can watch it. And this isn't just me talking. I even went and tested this myself. Let's talk about Naruto, the first chapter of Naruto versus the first episode of Naruto. They both cover about the same thing. It starts off with Naruto defacing the Hokage mountain, and it ends with Iruka graduating Naruto after the fight with Mizuki. And that first episode of Naruto is about 23 minutes long. So I sat down, opened up volume 1 of Naruto, and read that first chapter. It took me about 14 and a half minutes to get through chapter 1 of Naruto. And that first episode is about 23 minutes. Right there, you can already see, but I took it a step further. I was like, you know what? I'm going to read the entire first volume of Naruto. See how long that takes me. And I'm a slow reader. I like to take in the artwork. I like to reread dialogue just to make sure I'm understanding everything exactly as it should. I kind of take my time, so I'm a pretty slow reader. People who read faster would get through this even faster than I would. But I sat down, read the entire first volume of Naruto. And that first volume of Naruto ends with Kakashi telling Team 7 that they failed, that they'll never be shinobi because they failed the classic bell test. Reading that entire first volume of Naruto, it took me about 51 minutes to read that entire first chapter. 51 minutes. To get to that same endpoint in the anime, you would have to watch episodes 1 through 4, and then halfway through episode 5 is when you get to the same endpoint as the end of volume 1 of Naruto. So let's do some quick math. So the typical anime episode is about 22 minutes. So 4 times 22. What is that? That's 88 minutes. And then it was about 12 minutes into episode 5 that you actually get to the same endpoint as the end of volume 1. So that's 4 times 22, which is 88, plus 12, which is 100 minutes.
Quick maths.
And remember how long it took me to read that first volume? 51 minutes. It literally takes twice as long to get through the anime than it would be reading the manga. And that's even with the manga. You can get through the manga a lot quicker. A manga typically has a lot more detail than an anime does. Depending on how true to the original source an anime is, it can sometimes tend to cut out a lot of information just to fit it in the runtime of the episode or for the season. Let's take a look at The Promised Neverland. Hold up, editor Teray here, and we're going to be entering into spoiler territory. So if you haven't read or watched The Promised Neverland, I highly suggest you do. But if you haven't, go ahead and skip ahead. Yeah, go ahead and do that. There'll be a timestamp right up there. Go ahead and skip to that number. All right. Let's take a look at The Promised Neverland. I love this series, man. I started reading this series a few months ago. I literally caught up to the entire thing within like 2 weeks and read the final chapter the same day that final chapter was released. It's legitimately probably my favorite manga that I've read this year. And it's probably going to end up being in my top 10 manga of all time. I love The Promised Neverland. And I watched season 1 of the anime too. And season 1 of the anime was great. Probably a lot of the examples that I'm going to use for this video are going to come from The Promised Neverland, since it's the most recent in my head. And yeah, I just love the show so much. But even with how good the anime was, I still noticed that it cut some details that bothered me a little bit as I was watching it. Editor Teray back again. I just realized that I didn't really explain the basic premise of The Promised Neverland, so let me do that real quick. The Promised Neverland is about an orphanage full of these kids ranging from the ages of infant all the way to 12 years old. They live in this orphanage until they're sent off to their new family. Emma, the main character, and her best friend Norman find out that the orphanage isn't what it seems. It has a secret, and the secret is that the orphanage is actually a farm for human meat. And the kids aren't actually sent off to their families, but they're shipped off to be butchered and sold to demons for food. Yeah, it's pretty interesting stuff. But that's the basic premise. I'll be back. In the manga for The Promised Neverland, during the Gracefield arc, which is the first about 36 chapters of the manga, there's this crucial point where Isabella realizes that the people who know the secret of the orphanage has to be the older kids. And there's this segment of that arc where essentially Isabella has all the older kids doing a bunch of chores. Like they're setting up and cleaning up this room, and she has them do it for several days straight, not allowing them to play with the other kids. And this part isn't really shown in the anime at all. And what I really liked about this part of the manga, it is then revealed that pretty much the reason that Isabella is having them doing all these chores and separating them from the other kids, and it's pretty much to prevent them from colluding and trying to find more information, trying to find a way to escape. And it was also them preparing a room for the new adult that is then pretty much revealed, which is Sister Chrome. And she's pretty much going to be a second set of eyes to watch over the kids to prevent them from escaping. And that part was just so good to me, because it really shows Isabella's, dubiousness, because the kids have a feeling. They pretty much know that Isabella is onto them, but they don't know how much she's onto them. And they think that if they just stay quiet and do these chores, that they can still, find ways to collude in secret. But Isabella is still 3 steps ahead of them. She was making them clean this room for the past several days, not just to keep them busy, but to set up their own demise. They were cleaning up a room and setting up a room for another set of eyes to watch them. And I just thought that was great. And that part isn't really shown in the anime at all. And it kind of disappointed me. It didn't stop the anime from being a great anime, but it is something that it just adds to my feeling of I'd rather read the manga. And that's not the only thing that's cut from the anime as well. Like, The Promised Neverland, especially that first arc, is a pretty verbose arc. There's a lot of dialogue because there's a lot of planning and colluding going on. They're trying to escape. And a lot of that is cut from the anime as well. The anime is only 12 episodes for that first season. So it would make sense that they cut it. But I feel like a lot of that dialogue and a lot of that, planning really helps with the tension of the series as well. Like, all of these things, it didn't prevent the anime from still being a good anime, but to me it did kneecap the overall potential of that anime. And this is something that happens commonly when it comes to anime adaptations. They can't have every bit of detail that the manga has, and the things they decide to cut can sometimes change the subtle nuances of a character's decisions, or even erase entire plot points that fuel a character's character development.
You know Vegeta?
Yeah, I mean, he was introduced in the, third episode.
Well, no spoilers, but let's say don't get too attached.
Okay, so he dies then?
This is the bane of every otaku's existence. This is our arch enemy. Spoilers. We all know that guy. The manga reader that loves to spoil upcoming twists or events for an anime watcher. And I guess that's the perk of being a manga reader. Not only do you get more detail in the manga typically comes before the anime, so you're usually far ahead of whatever plot point the anime is currently on. It really helps avoid those dreaded fucking spoilers. I've been a victim of this myself. Back in 2013, 2014, I was watching Attack on Titan. I hadn't read the manga. My first exposure to Attack on Titan was the anime. And I believe it was on Facebook. I made a post about the current season of Attack on Titan that I was watching. And then this girl that was on my friends list, it still gets me mad to this day thinking about it, just decided to reveal one of the biggest spoilers to me. And I was like, what are you doing? Why would you do this? I was so perturbed by this. I immediately blocked her. She was somebody that was on my friend list for a couple of years, and I immediately blocked her. And I haven't unblocked her to this day. I do not play about spoilers. That's just being an asshole. Don't do that. Don't do that. If you're a manga reader, please don't be an asshole and spoil shit. Please. Coming from another manga reader, don't be an asshole. With manga, there are certain storytelling techniques that just work better in manga format than it does in anime format. Back to Promised Neverland. The big reveal of the first chapter of The Promised Neverland, where both Norman and Emma go to the gate and they find Connie dead. That reveal to me was done so much better in the manga than it does in the anime. Actually, the anime man has a really good video where he expresses this as well. I'll link that in the description. But essentially, in the manga, when they go to the gates, between them realizing something was up and then the actual reveal that Connie is dead, it's literally 2 panels, and it's a page turn reveal. And page turn reveals can be done so well, and it was done so well in The Promised Neverland. You turn the page and boom, a full page panel of a dead child, and it's so shocking. And before you can even fully process that, another page turn, and then you see the demons. Just how sudden both reveals were. They were literally back to back. And that really contrasts with how it's done in the anime. In the anime, it's a really long, drawn out process. It's obvious they're trying to build up the tension for the reveal, but like the anime man said, at this point, I know you're trying to reveal something to me. I know you're trying to give me a plot twist. And then they finally reveal it. To me, it's just done so much better in the manga than it is in the anime. Because it's literally, Emma drops the bear, page turn, Connie's dead. And then another page turn, the demons are revealed. And it's revealed in a beautiful 2-page spread. The 2-page spreads. I love those. I love 2-page spreads so much. Like with a 2-page spread, it's not something you can do when you're watching an anime. Like, think of it like this. When you're watching something on the screen, you only have that screen as the portal into the world that you're looking at. They can zoom in, zoom out, you know, just like a regular movie, TV show, cartoon, anything can. You have that screen and you're looking at it. But with manga, as you're reading, you're usually reading one page at a time. When the artist wants to emphasize either a reveal or an action sequence, here comes the 2-page spread. And I always love when the mangaka gifts us with a 2-page spread, because it's essentially doubling the portal that you're viewing the world at. It gives you a lot more to look at. It just covers your entire viewpoint. And it's something where used sparingly always has great dramatic effect. Haikyuu is another manga that has beautiful 2-page spreads as well. And with Haikyuu, they typically have those 2-page spreads where it's not always just one image spread over the course of 2 pages, but it's an entire sequence where normally it will be on one page that's then spread over 2 pages. And it's always beautiful when they do it, and it always flows well. And that is something that just can't be done in an anime. And there's a bunch of other techniques that are done in manga that just can't be conveyed the same in anime, whether that be the panel layouts, the fourth wall breaks using those same panels, the contrast between the white and the black in terms of the artwork, either to convey emptiness or darkness. Like, these are all amazing techniques that are unique to manga and just cannot be conveyed in really the same way in an anime. And with manga, you don't have to worry about bad animations or bad dubs. We've all experienced it. We've all seen it. We've all seen bad animation, and we've all seen horrible dubs. Like, it's a good thing that these days, typically the animation and dubbing is a lot more consistently at least decent than it was in like the 80s or 90s or even the early 2000s.
It's Big Green!
Did they say why? Did they say? Sayonara, asshole.
We've all seen Berserker 2016 on Netflix. What was that? That CGI animation was terrible. They literally took a masterpiece, balled it up, and threw that motherfucker in the trash. Connor, aka Sea-Dog VA, has a good series on bad anime dubs. That's pretty hilarious. You should check that out. I'll also link that in the description as well. But it's not really too much more to say on this. We've all seen terrible animation and terrible dubs. Nothing else to say. No filler with manga. No filler at all. No fucking filler. None. Lastly, I want to talk about the intangibles. And this can be more difficult to explain because it can be very subjective as well. And by the intangibles, I mean with manga, it leaves a lot more to the imagination. For example, whether that be a character's voice, their speech pattern, or their cadence, their mannerisms, their various idiosyncrasies, or just the general atmosphere they have about themselves. A lot of that, while you're reading a manga, you're imagining that. It's the perception that you conjure up in your head as you're reading the manga. And then when the anime adaptation comes along, it may not necessarily fit with what you've already preconceived for that particular character or that scene or that plot point. And it's not really something that is the anime's fault per se. It's just a product of manga being something that you read. This is the same thing with novels. With the anime adaptation, what they decide to do to visually portray that may not be as good as what you thought of in your head as you're imagining it. Like I don't know how many times I've watched an anime, and for example, the character's voice just doesn't sound as good as what I imagined the character's voice to be as I was reading it, or just the way the character moves or portrays themselves. Typically with reading, when the actual visual media comes out, it just doesn't feel as convincing or as authentic than what you had imagined, because a lot of that is really personal to you. What you imagine when you're reading something is gonna feel more real than what you visually see in an anime or movie or TV show, unless that media portrays it exactly like it was in your head. And it's just something that you just can't get over as a manga reader, and it's something that will pretty much deter you from watching an anime if the manga is available, because it can just feel a lot more vibrant as you're imagining it than what the actual product in the media comes out to be. Now, this isn't all just to say that anime is so trash, manga is so superior, anime can't touch manga in any aspect, manga is godly, anime is garbage. It isn't to say that, because there's a few things anime does that just can't be done in manga as well. Anime has its own perks. I gotta give anime its props too, visually speaking. When an anime is animated well, it is stunning. It is gorgeous. It is beautiful, and it can definitely add to the experience if something is animated well. There's anime where the art and the animation is better than the artwork of the manga. Like, two good examples of this is Attack on Titan and Demon Slayers. Both of those anime, the animation and artwork is much better than the actual artwork of the manga. So like, there are instances where the animation is so good that it just keeps you watching even if you're not that into the plot. And it's a big reason why a lot of people watch anime over reading manga. But not even just the visuals. Something that I feel like is even more important, that anime has a bigger leg up on manga, would be the music. Because even with animation, a lot of manga has great artwork, spectacular artwork. The experience can immerse you and grab you in just like great animation. But one thing manga cannot do is music. An anime with great music, opening themes, OSTs is untouchable. Like, one example that really hit me, I'm about to bring up Promised Neverland for the umpteenth time in this video. Yes, I am. Another, like, one thing that hit me about the Promised Neverland is Isabella's lullaby. While reading the manga, Isabella's lullaby isn't really something that I could imagine in my head, you know? Like, I can imagine something in my head, but it's nowhere near the amount of quality and beauty that the lullaby was in the anime. In the anime, Isabella's lullaby is so somber, so melancholic, so beautiful, but it also feels nostalgic too, which is crazy. It's such a weird cacophony of emotions in Isabella's lullaby. It can make you cry. Like that's the emotions music can bring out of you, and that's just something that manga does not have and cannot do. And that's something that's really a really big plus side of anime over manga. Just the music, the opening themes alone can be a reason why I watch anime. Attack on Titan's opening theme, great. I love Bleach's opening theme. It's so nostalgic for me. Samurai Champloo. Naruto has some great opening themes. We are fighting in my zone. Like the opening theme for Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. Yui was spitting on that track. She was spitting flames on that opening theme. Like I love that opening theme. Like as you can see with this video, this isn't to say that if you watch anime that you're some inferior person and only the godly big brains read manga. that's not really what the point of this is. But I would like for more people to read manga though. Manga is such a beautiful art form, man. And anime is obviously the more mainstream of the two, but pretty much they have a symbiotic relationship. They help each other. The more mainstream anime gets, the more manga is created to fuel new anime. So it's a relationship that has a balance, and they help each other out. But I would like more of you guys who strictly watch anime to give manga a try. Manga is pretty cool, man. Manga is pretty dope. Yes, it's reading, but I guarantee you will be immersed in that reading. So what was the point of the title if anime is still a perfectly fine and justifiable art form? I don't know. But you clicked on the video, right? Mission accomplished. For you guys who don't know, my name is Teray. Like I said in my other videos, this is a pretty new channel. So if you liked this video, please go ahead and subscribe. Make sure you like, make sure you comment. If you know a fellow manga reader, go ahead and send them this video because I'm sure they'll appreciate it. Or if you know somebody that's strictly into anime and you're trying to get them into manga, send them this video. I got some good points for them. This might get them into reading manga. Again, my name is Teray. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see y'all later, man. Peace. And that's it. It's gonna be a long one. I had a lot of points to talk about. It's gonna be a long one, man.